Hello, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Shadow variant of Alolan Ninetales in the Remix Cup, and we're running not Charm, we're running Powder Snow, and there is good reason for this, and you're going to see it here today as well. And honestly, if you want to play a great team for the Remix Cup, please feel free to copy this team. If I tell you this team is good, I really mean it. This team is amazing. I went straight away 5-0 with this team. I think I went a total of I don't know, a 10-3 or something with this team. It was madness. This team is lovely. This team is really, really good to use. It has a lot of play in the current meta. And also, this team does just makes a lot of sense on paper as well. You have an anti-flyer in the lead with the Shadow Alolan Ninetales with Powder Snow. You're going to have a Say-Swap here of Poliwrath. And with this, you're going to have also access to Icy Wind. And so, what happened all the time is, you swap into the Poliwrath, get out the Flying type Pokemon. You still have Icy Wind, you're going to be able to debuff the opponent. Also, you swap out into the Poliwrath, you're going to get out the Flying type Pokemon, you're going to get a shield advantage. And that's kind of Flying type, I want to say Dragon type Pokemon. And that's going to be great as you're going to be able to one-shot someone here already with the Earthquake. And here, as you're going to see as well, we kind of always align ourselves in great matchups as well with the Alolan Ninetales in this first battle. And that's the thing as well, Alolan Ninetales was such a strong Pokemon. For sure, would really recommend you to try it out. And yeah, let's move on to the next opponent. There's one big issue for this team, and that's kind of Deoxys. It's not a big issue, to be fair. There are two Pokemon that kind of have neutral matchups, like the Ninetales here, as well as the Swampert, but I would be lying if I say that this is a great matchup for this team. It's not unplayable at all. It's definitely something that you can still play out, especially if you can get the baits correct, which is quite important. And so we're going to be able to go for the Weather Ball. We can try to go for another shield here as well against the opponent. It's going to be the Psycho Boost coming through, and we're 2 shields down now. And this is still going to be quite okay, hopefully. As we're going to get the Weather Ball off, we're going to be able to knock them out, and they're going to have the Quagsire in the back. There are quite a lot of Quagsires, which is quite cool, because we're going to have our Poliwrath, which can resist everything. And for whatever reason, the opponent decides to stay in here for a little bit. I can go for an Icy Wind, which is a little bit risky if they let the move go through. Which they do, which is kind of silly, because now the opponent's still going to get to another charge move. If I went for a Scald, I would have been in a better spot. But I'm still going to guarantee get an Icy Wind debuff onto the final Pokemon of the opponent, which in this case is going to be the Guzzlord. Getting that shield here is going to be quite nice, because now we can just go for the double Weather Ball spam, and we barely gonna even need the Swampert here. Most likely we don't even need the Swampert at all in this battle, and that's kind of mad. And yeah, of course, if you enjoy this type of video, early content for those new, cups, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to do that as well. Would really appreciate it. It is free and helps out the channel as the Quagsire goes down. Yeah, by the way, tomorrow video going to be a little bit later most likely, because I'm going to have an exam at 10 AM till 12 AM, so that's going to be lovely for me. Uni exam is going to be quite a day, but yeah, definitely next video is going to be a little bit later than usual, but I think it's fine because yeah, it is what it is. Currently, a lot of people don't really enjoy the current season as well, Pokemon Go. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit better for the new season, but we have to wait and see. Also, we were able to bait out the opponent's Quagsire here and actually get a shield, because I went up to the Dazzling Beam and then decided to still go for the Weather Ball. And that's going to be great, because now we can completely hardwall the opponent with our Poliwrath, unless I would run a Mud Bomb, which barely anybody is using right now. We're going to be fine here, and this Scald is going to put them most likely to range where I can farm them down straight away afterwards. Well, or just knock them out straight away. Never mind, I get one more fast move in, so I stay corrected. And we're going to see back in here the Golbat, and they go straight for a charge move, which is totally fine. It is not something I really did expect, because it didn't even overfarm as much. And now we're going to have to see what they have in the back. It is going to be an Emploeon. I can swap into my Swampert. And look at this. We're going to have a great matchup again for us, as we can now use a shield. We can overfarm by quite a bit. Go for an Earthquake, go for a Hydro Cannon. This should be basically a game. The opponent does not really have any chance of winning this battle. Even under some circumstances, the opponent still can knock me out with a Golbat here. I'm still going to get to the Weather Ball in time for sure with my Ninetales. And so this is going to be game. And we can move on to the next opponent. Pelipper. Going to be a fairly neutral lead matchup for us. What we can do here is we can just win this, I think, in the 1-2-0 shield scenario, something like this. So if we want to use a 1 shield, I think we're going to be fine here, as the opponent is going to take that Weather Ball, and as you can see, it's gonna doing quite some nice damage. We do also quite some nice damage with the Powder Snow as well here, as the opponent goes for their Weather Ball. Great call, but they decide to go straight for another one. And with this, they're gonna put themselves into a range where I can go for the full farm down. So let's see how this is going to go. We're going to be able to go for the full farm down here, and we can try to swap out against whatever they have in the back. back, and it is not the Pokemon that I expected. They are having an Excadrill in the back, while I was expecting that Steelix, but Excadrill actually has quite a lot of play in the current meta, I feel like. And I maybe even want to try out the Shadow Excadrill together with the Steelix, because I feel like this would make a lot of sense to have like Steelix as a Say Swap, Excadrill in the back, and I feel like that has a lot of potential, but yeah, maybe it's going to be something for a later video. But here, we're gonna try to go for some Mud Shot down with our Swampert, and honestly, I make a mistake here by not using a shield. I thought this would be the best bet for me to just still survive this one somehow and go for a charge move then, but I didn't, and so the opponent is going to be able to just Mud Shot me down. Maybe I could have won this or played differently, but it is what it is. We can move on to the next opponent. Deoxys again is going to be a little bit of a tough one. Let's see how this is going to go. We're going to try to go ahead and go for that Dazzling Gleam against the opponent. Or do we? Maybe just gonna go for the Weather Ball spam. I feel like Weather Ball spam is just the safest play. They decided to go for a Steelix, which is totally fine for me as well, as I can go for one Weather Ball and now swap out into my Swampert, putting them into range for what Hydro Cannon guaranteed. Is kinda nice, and I can also get some nice energy up here, because I can go for former fast moves before the opponent can go for their own charge move, and this is going to allow me to go up to 2 charge moves here, which is going to be quite nice, because now even if they come back into their Deoxys, they're going to have to take a hit. But not only this, they're actually going to have to take a hit from that giant enormous earthquake from our Swampert, and this is going to be it for that Deoxys, at least nearly, as we can still go for another charge move. Let's see if we're going to get another shield from the opponent. And at this point, I was predicting there's going to be another Steel type in the back, and so I decided to let the move go through, which is quite risky, but let's see if I'm going to be correct with that. I am not, but it's still going to be the better play to go for, to let the move go through there, because now we're going to have the Carbink aligned against our Poliwrath, and this is actually going to be quite a decent one for us. We're going to be able to get some damage onto them as well, as I didn't call the first move there, and so we were able to get a Scald onto them. They go for the Moonblast, which we're able to shield up as well, as the Icy Wind is coming through now as well. Let's see if the opponent decides to use a shield. They decide to let the move go through even, and so we can go for the full Farm Knot in time, and the opponent is kind of screwed, as I can still reach another Icy Wind, try to debuff them. I can swap on into the Ninetails, forcing a Psycho Boost, and so we can just win this battle here. Next opponent we're going to have here, the Jellicent. Jellicent is going to be a Pokemon that is quite awkward for this team as well, but still playable depending on how you really play against it. And a lot of people know that I like to go for baits, especially if I have like some nice nuke moves, and so why not go for the bait and go straight for that nuke move? With the Dazzling Gleam here coming through, it's going to connect and do a lot of damage against them. I was hoping I would be able to catch another Surf here, as the opponent went for a Surf first, but it is sadly a Shadow Ball, which I'm still okay with, as they swap out into the Gligar. Being forced to go straight for that Aerial Ace is going to be quite lovely, as now we are going to be able to go back into our Ninetails. We can try to go for the double Weather Ball here as well, as we're going to see in P-Tai. This is going to be quite an interesting one, as the opponent decides to use a shield. I should be able to just farm them down. This would be a huge mistake by the opponent to use a shield then, because it's just gonna give us a ton of energy and we get out of here with a Dazzling Gleam start. Let's see what is going to be lurking here in the back. It is going to be, let's see, it's going to be a Steelix here, and so we can go for the double back-to-back Weather Ball, and this is looking quite juicy, as we will see the Jellicent trying to catch the move. Didn't work out. We can go to our Swampert and take a Surf here from the opponent, but this is basically it with that one as well. We can fully farm them down. We have a ton of energy. We still have a shield on the opponent's part, but it doesn't really matter, to be fair, as we can just go ahead and go for another Hydro, get the shield, and now 2 Weather Balls are going to be enough. And they are not at the energy to get to 2 moves either, and so Crunch is coming through here actually as well, which is quite interesting. And now it's just going to be a back-to-back double Weather Ball here to knock them out, and this is going to be it for this battle, and we can move on to the next opponent. Let's see what the next opponent is going to be here. It's going to be the Emploeon in the lead. Horribly first, we can swap out into the Poliwrath, as they swap out into the Quagsire. This is a hard wall for them, and they forfeit. Bye-bye there. I guess they did not expect Poliwrath. Honestly, the fact that Poliwrath is actually allowed is quite mad, I would say. Like, I feel like Poliwrath would be some Pokemon that I would consider top 20 meta still. Especially recently, at least. Maybe the recent changes to the meta kind of brought this Pokemon a little bit back up, I guess, because always, if you think about like the Remix Cup is based on the meta that was there the last season before, so a lot of times it doesn't really make too much sense. It would be kind of cool to see a Remix Cup that's going to be like at the last month of the season, And what you do basically as your base is just like the first 2 months of that season, because it would be way more accurate and would help out a little bit more with the meta balancing. And Pokemon like Liger maybe wouldn't be allowed the entire time for whatever reason. But anyway, we're going to be able to go for a Weather Ball here against the Quagsire, let the move go through. That is totally fine that we were able to win that CMP tie. And I can just go ahead and go into my Poliwrath, I swap onto the Steelix, I can debuff them, I still have my Swampert, and this is going to be a good game. Like, the opponent has no chance here to win this battle. Like, what are they going to do here? We can just go for that Scald. Scald is going to connect here and get some quite decent damage onto them, and so we can move on to the next opponent. Let's take a look what they're going to have here. It's going to be the Carbink. We can swap out straight away into our Poliwrath, which is going to be able to resist the fast move. Same goes for Swampert, as we are going to be able to go just for that nice Scald. Scald coming through, doing some nice damage against the opponent's Pokemon there as well. And I kind of want to align myself. So I kind of want to try to use some shields here, even though the opponent went for a bait. Great bait by the opponent. I can still go for another charge move here, force another shield from the opponent as well. And while I'm going to be a shield down later on, switch advantage is way more important if you lose the lead as hard as we did here. And so let's see, the opponent is gonna go down here, and we are going to see in the back a Giratina. And that's going to be great, because now, like, if I didn't try to align myself, I would have had the Ninetales against the Carbink and the Giratina against our Swampert. This would be both, like, horrible matchups for either of the picks. And so, like this, I was able to align myself, I was able to even get the shield back, and I'm going to be able to now have a Swampert against the Carbink, which is just way, way better, and this is guaranteed. And it's also going to be a very nice Earthquake going to connect here from our Shadow Swampert. Stab move, super effective and still not knocking them out, which just showcases again on how ridiculously bulky the Carbink actually is, and that's why also everybody is running it in this cup, especially as Pokemon like Skarmory allowed in this cup kind of makes it quite easier for you to run a Carbink. But anyway, the opponent is going to now having to face here basically against our Ninetales, and we should be able to outspeed them here, so let's see if this is going to work out. It is going to work out, and so it's going to be a good game, and we can move on to the next opponent. So let's take a look here. We're going to have the Deoxys defense form in the lead. This is going to be quite an awkward matchup again. I said before, like, Deoxys defense is mostly the worst possible Pokemon that I can encounter in the lead. I just don't really like this one. And they swap out into the Steelix. I make maybe a mistake here by swapping into my Poliwrath. I could have also went into my Swampert, but like my thought process was like, you do super effective damage here with a fast move. You still have kind of a neutral matchup, but also you still have the Swampert, which does neutral damage against the Deoxys, while here we would resist the damage with counter while being weak to both Thunderbolt as well as that Psycho Boost. So anyway, we're going to be able to not realign ourselves. I should most likely go ahead and go into my Swampert here, but I didn't know that I have that much energy on my Ninetales already. But I can still go for a charge move here as the opponent goes back into the Carbink. I will be able to swap out, and they're going to have a Deoxys there. So like, I didn't know that they have a Carbink in the back, and honestly, if I played a little bit differently and if I swapped into my Swampert instead a little bit earlier, I would have been most likely fine. But let's take a look at this one. The opponent is going to be able to still go ahead and go for a Thunderbolt here. I am forced to let the move go through. I'm most likely still going to be able to survive it, but our health is just going to be too low. We would have needed to go up to 2 Hydro Cans in order to win this battle, which is not going to happen, and so sadly the opponent is going to be able to still knock me out. A Dazzling Gleam we saw already does not even two-shot them here either, and so we are going to be forced to go for a Weather Ball and a Dazzling Gleam, which is never going to happen, and so that's going to be a good game to the opponent. Let's move on to the next battle. Second to last battle for today, we're going to have here another Deoxys defense in the lead. I think this was the first Legend player from like 4 seasons ago or something here against us right now. But let's take a look at this one. We're going to be able to just go ahead and go for another Weather Ball, which is going to force a shield, which is kind of nice for me, as Weather Ball bait is always kind of nice. We're using a shield here as well. The opponent decides to go for the Thunderbolt, so we're in a great spot as we just generate a little bit more energy compared to the opponent. They go for the Psycho Boost. We can go ahead and go for a Dazzling Gleam, as this is going to do quite some crazy good damage. This is going to be able to even knock out the opponent's Deoxys, and in comes the Umbreon. We can go for another Dazzling Gleam. Straight away, just forcing a shield or giving me switch advantage, and we're going to be able to get the shield from the opponent. As I tried to catch move here, it didn't work out. I still get some damage onto the opponent though, and that's kind of all that matters, as now we are going to be able to just go ahead and go for some icy wins against this Goodra. Goodra still going to be able to knock us out, but it is what it is, as the opponent can still reach that Thunder Punch here just in time. and we can still align ourselves. I could even decide to go into my Swampert and try to get some Mudshot down, but I feel like it is better to go into the Ninetales just to secure this. No, actually, never mind. I decided to go into the Swampert to just get some Mudshot down. And so down goes the opponent's Pokemon there, as we're gonna see, the Umbreon coming back in. Umbreon is gonna go for a foul play, where you can try to swap out and catch the move. Didn't work out, but you have an Earthquake stored now. I have some nice damage in here as well, and so it is what it is. The opponent has no chance of surviving an Earthquake from this health range on their Umbreon, and so this is going to be a very good game. Earthquake coming through is going to be able to knock them out. And so, we're gonna move on to the final battle of the day. Of course, if you're still watching until this point here, feel free to leave a like. Oh, look at the opponent here running a Clodsire. Very cool Pokemon to run for sure, but it is still going to be a Pokemon that is going to be quite weak against our team. In comes a Dragonair. As said in the beginning of the video, you're often quite able to just get rid of those Dragon-type Pokemon here with the Sasop of Poliwrath, while still having super effective coverage against them as well. But you know what's funny, I can still take a move and still go for the Ice and I would really recommend to you, by the way, to go for the normal Poliwrath. Normal Poliwrath just has a little bit more bulk, and the bulk is going to be needed. And so we can go for the knockout here against the opponent's Dragonair, as they're gonna go ahead and go back into the Clodsire. We can swap into our Swampert, and Swampert is going to have a lovely time here. We can use a shield on that Earthquake, as we have a ton of energy now for them. Hydro Cannon coming through straight away to force either a shield or the knockout. Let's see, we're gonna get the knockout in the back. It is going to be a Typhlosion, and with this, it's going to be a good game here, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like. Check out the video on the screen here now as well, as we're gonna claim our 5-0 set as well in the background. There's going to be on the screen right now some test battles with Gallade, which is also a great Pokemon for this meta as well as the top teams for this meta. So definitely check them out, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.